Okay, here we go. So as you can see, EDMSIM is a Windows-based application that can run on any standard laptop. It gives you the ability to develop emergency scenarios to train against. These scenarios are saved and can be played over and over again. An organization can build up a library of scenarios to use for various training events. If we open up any particular scenario, you'll see that it can be run multiple times and be used to test various courses of action, and you can always return to your master scenario. So if we open up this master scenario, we can view the product from an exercise designer perspective. So with EDMSIM open, you will observe three windows. There is the HICON control window, which allows the exercise controller to set global settings, run the exercise, and develop emergencies. There is the unit organization window, which represents your entire training audience's organization. And finally, there is the map window, which gives you a global play box. Now, the map window is based on an Esri GIS. It's very similar to Google. You can use Google Maps within the product. The software comes with bookmarks that you can create. So I'll just zoom into an area of interest here. Now, the map allows you to have various layers visible. So currently we're using Esri maps. And we can add these. We can adjust the opacity so we can combine maps. So if you want to see street maps with satellite imagery, it's possible. And you can also import your own particular maps within the product. So as you can see, as I turn on and off map layers, they'll show up. So if I want to add an additional map layer, I can just navigate to wherever you have your maps and add that layer. So it just added this. And if you're working offline, you can bring in your own satellite imagery. So I'll turn off these offline maps. Just loading the map now. So this is a map that was brought in as a satellite image. The map also comes with various options. So it allows you to display projection in various coordinates. For instance, latitude, longitude, UTM. With elevation data, which we can import, it will give you the elevation of the terrain. It has built-in tools for measuring distance. Or area. It shows you the simulated weather, temperature, wind, and of course date time. Now the tool also allows you to add your operational overlay, and this can be done during the simulation as well. So for instance, if I wanted to mark where my actual incident will be, I can create that and share that across clients. So moving from the map window, I will open up the master scenario event list. So this is a list of injects into the simulation that can be created either in the design phase of the exercise or during the running of the exercise. The measle is used to give participants various messages like start exercise or information, such as a weather report to give them an idea of the environmental conditions that they're dealing with, or even an emergency notification that triggers them into their standard operating procedures. The exercise controller can use this tool to determine the speed and tempo of the exercise. So if participants are meeting their objectives quickly, the exercise controller can speed up the exercise. Or if the participants are having difficulty, it can simply move out different injects and slow down the exercise. In addition, messages can be mapped to various locations on the map and trigger only when a participant moves one of their vehicles or personnel in that geolocation. So the next window of the software that I want to draw your attention to is the unit organization. So the unit organization represents all the vehicles and personnel that will be simulated within the exercise. This is created beforehand during the design phase. It's fairly straightforward. And as you can see, each station will have only select items to play with. And when the simulation runs, that station has visibility and situational awareness of those assets within the simulation. This can be multi-agency or various departments within a single organization. And it goes all the way down to individuals and equipment. Additionally, the simulation comes with a pre-populated database, which the user can add to or customize, a radio simulator, which allows you to set up various radio nets within the simulation, and a generic emergency tool, which allows you to build and run various emergency events. So during the design stage, you can create your emergency and the various events in time with various effects. This gives you a lot of capability to create any type of event that you want to train against. Now the third window is the HiCon controller, which only the exercise controller sees. This gives you ability to configure your global settings within the simulation. So time, environmental conditions, various uh, configuration items, as well as to control, start, and stop the simulation, and some pre-canned emergencies in here as well. So now if I run this exercise, so this was all designed beforehand. It's fairly automated, and I could allow various stations to join and participate in this, and they would have control over their entities. So I'll create a new exercise. Okay, here we go. The simulation is running. So we should start getting some injects here at some point. Oh, as you can see, police car is already en route to the port. We get the start X message here that would go out to all participants. Then the weather forecast, so they can click into this, see the message. Oh, there's a storm warning in effect. So if the participants wanted to, they could move their entities to various locations. Oh, an advisory to leave the port was just sent out. So you want to move your ships out during that nasty storm. There's a reported storm surge. You can mouse over the various entities to get some details on them. Oh, a Mayday has gone out. There's a Mayday alert. So an event has occurred. There's fire, explosion, people in the water. We're getting emergency medical requests, require several ambulances at the loading facility. So at this point, your participants will have to start reacting to the event. They'd have to start communicating. So what port? What access is available? How many ambulances do you need? Do we require marine rescue? These are all the things that are going on that they're going to have to respond to. So an ambulance has been sent. The spill is growing. The field hospital has a very limited capacity. There's reports of casualties. Fireboats have been deployed. There's a fireboat there moving straight in. So at this point, your teams are trying to respond as quickly as possible to minimize casualties. They're testing their emergency response plans, their standard operating procedures. For example, what would happen if area here was inaccessible? Well, as an exercise designer, you can make it inaccessible, and suddenly your teams will have to stop operating or start operating outside of their normal procedures. Fortunately, this fireboat is fully fueled. What happens if there was no fuel on this? When they went to move it, guess what? It no longer moves. They're deploying divers. The police car is on scene. So this kind of gives you a sense of the capabilities of the software. This is just a very, very simple exercise that I've set up here. This can get much more complicated and engaging very quickly. So the fireboat is fighting the fire. So the simulation accounts for the type of fire, how many resources do you need to control the fire. If you don't have the resources, the fire is going to grow, cause more damage, destruction. So your participants will need to understand that and react accordingly. So we can quickly go into our reports, see if there's any casualties. Fortunately, everybody's okay so far. If the Hycon wants to speed up the exercise, they can just go into time. We can speed it up if we'd like things to happen faster. I want to go over to my town and see what kind of resources I have here. Oh, I have another fire truck. Turn this off. Oh, and the exercise is ended. So there, very briefly, gives you an overview of EDMSIM. I'm sure you can appreciate the power and capability that is available through the product. Once the exercise is done, you can actually capture everything that happened during the exercise from all participants. So it's asking me if I want to export this to an after action review. I can say yes. All right, once the exercise is ended, we can launch the after action review. So this tool that comes with EDMSIM captures every action and reaction from the training audience. Anything that has happened in the simulation is recorded, including radio chatter, movement, reports, tooltips, and all pertinent information. So this allows the exercise controllers and the training audience to review the exercise, see what they did right, and learn from what they did wrong so that they can adjust their emergency response plan. And the beauty of this is that you can pull out a laptop at any time over coffee with your CEO and review the exercise and have that discussion on what you want to improve. So right now the software is gathering up all the data and loading it into the after action review. In addition, everything you've seen here, you can export from one EDMSIM computer to another. So the operational overlay, the unit organization, the after action review, the scenario, all of these can be taken off one machine, put onto another, shared. So it's very portable. So as you can see, it's the after action reviews come up. The interface is very similar to what you had seen earlier, but now your entire training audience will be able to see everything that occurred during this scenario. So not only their view, but everybody's view. And this will give you your corrective training. So that brings us to the end of the demo. I hope you enjoyed the review of our EDMSIM product. I think you would agree that the software provides a very, very powerful training capability and allows you to create, validate, and train your emergency response plan. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me.